Well, welcome to the first live Situation Room panel of 2025. This is part of a series we'll be doing every month throughout this year, throughout 2025. And wherever you're joining us from in the world, good morning, good evening, good night, whatever is appropriate for you, or if you're watching on catch-up, then thanks for joining in as well. Now, the Situation Room from Eco Online is a thought leadership forum, and it's all about engagement. We want people to talk to us. We want to be able to answer questions, but more importantly, get discussions going. So the first article we chose to get that discussion going this year in 25 is AI, artificial intelligence, and we've been running that since the start of March. This builds on last year's work with the Situation Room, which was all about extreme weather events and the hurricane season in North America. So you've got a chance today to ask questions of our panel. You'll see a chance to put that in the Q&A area, in the chat area there. So please do ask us any questions if there's something you'd like us to look at today. And anything we can get to, we'll get to as many as we can within the time. And if we run out of the time, we'll answer them on the Situation Room forum, which is live and available 24/7. So we'll use that for discussion if we run out of time here in today's panel. But with us today to focus on will AI make us safer or protect the environment, I've got Daniel Sacrison, Senior Vice President at WSP, an engineering and advisory professional services firm. And here from Eco Online, there's Rob Leach, who's our Principal Product Director. We've got Richard Tipper, Dr. Richard Tipper, who's our Chief Scientific Officer. And I'm David Picton. I'm the Senior Vice President of Safety and Sustainability, all of us here at Eco Online. So there's lots to ask. We've got lots of questions, lots of discussions already. So we'll dive straight in, I think, and ask the first question of our panel, really, to set the scene. What impacts have you seen for AI as a technology in safety and sustainability? And Rob, if I could come to you first.
Thank you, David. Honour to be here, to be on such a salubrious panel. I get involved with lots of our sort of projects and clients, and AI is fast moving. It's in all walks of life now. It's in all industries, from predictive machine learning to generative AI, the ChatGPT we all use at home to do the kids' homework, to NLP, virtual assistants. All these types of technology can be leveraged in most walks of life and work. And I think that's why it's such an exciting topic, this, because it's quick, it's easily, it's ready and available, but used in the wrong place, it comes with some significant issues. But exciting times now at the moment, David, for this type of technology. And we need to keep our awareness in HSE and ESG really at the forefront of these breakthroughs.
Brilliant. Thanks, Rob. Dan, if I could turn to you, in your perspective, what impacts are you seeing for AI as a technology in safety and sustainability?
Yeah, its impact is great, that's for sure. I've seen a lot of different ways it's been used, from monitoring events in real time, amazing data predictions and forecasting, process optimization, really doing things faster than humans, 100 times faster than we can. I personally use it to analyze large amounts of data, find patterns that probably would have missed if I didn't have the time to dig into it. Using these tools really kind of gives back a lot of the time that I need and really digs in deeper. Also seeing companies use it for all kinds of different activities, from CCTV feeds into monitor employees working in factories, alerting them danger in advance, even down to improper ergonomic lifting positions and analyzing people in real time from multiple different angles, scanning regulatory permits and automatically breaking them down into actionable requirements so people don't have to do that administrative type activities, and then loading those automatically into compliance databases, cutting down, again, administrative activities, to even getting into training, tailoring training materials depending upon individual learning needs so that people are taught faster and better and more thorough. And I'm really excited to see kind of where it goes into detecting pollution, environmental changes, and automatically intervening. So a lot of cool things coming, but to Rob's point, it's something we should really monitor and make sure that there's proper governance.
Brilliant. Thanks, Dan. I think a couple of common themes there, as you're saying, just setting the scene for us in terms of that idea of taking away some of the more routine tasks and being able to see patterns and what have you. But if we jump into the headline question really and ask you, Richard, how could you see AI making us safer or protecting the environment?
Well, I think we've already heard something about the kind of ways in which AI can be embedded in systems, to safety systems, to make them even better or more performant, more reliable. But I'm quite interested in the debate around sustainability, because obviously everybody's heard about the vast amount of energy that's being used by the growth of AI systems and all the training that goes on. But I think it's important to balance that with looking at the potential sustainability upsides. There's a vast amount of work going on at the moment in materials discovery for more powerful, better sort of solar energy production, battery storage materials, those kinds of things. So fundamental science applications of AI, through to the applications of AI in reducing waste in many processes. So the food industry, for example, wastes large amounts of product along the value chain, and there could be lots of applications AI based to reduce that and maintain food quality, maintain food production. So yes, I think the intriguing thing is how we balance the costs that there obviously are, energy and to some extent water resources, with the compute requirements of AI, with the potential sustainability benefits, some of which are tantalizingly close, but some of which may be overstated, and it's very difficult to know sometimes between what is the promise and what is the delivered reality.
Yeah, that's a really good point you make as well, of course, because this has been around for some time, artificial intelligence per se, but it's the acceleration now of the application, isn't it, that's really picking up pace, and then providing that new potential. But as you say, also a responsibility to weigh up the balance of that. Rob, if I could just turn to you then and ask you how you could see AI making us safer or protecting the environment, perhaps even some specific examples you've seen from customer work.
Absolutely, David. I just one sort of talking to clients. I actually talk to now AI directors and engineer prompts, AI prompts. So even the job roles within our client base are sort of maturing to have AI in their title and as a responsibility. And I remember seeing the same with ESG many years ago, as it started to appear at the board level, and that's a real indication, I think, of it has got board involvement. People at that senior C-level and above are really want to know what is the leverage, obviously the risk as well. And that's the first thing I've noticed over the last sort of 12 months. That element of board level people really want to push and drive it through. Now on that, we discussed, Dan has said, so that predictive element. I'm not a big believer in predicting accidents. I know that's not what Dan said. It was risk and things like that. When you've got a human involved, it's very difficult to actually always predict 100%. But it does shine the torch on risk, those large data sets. And that's what we see. Clients are very interested in, can AI help me predict risk? Can it help me highlight risk areas? And that is the theme, large data sets. But straight away, that's sometimes a realization with our clients and even AI. You need a lot of data. It needs a lot of data to look through patterns and recognition and learn. And I feel we've taken a slight step to one side in our implementations of AI, and clients really buy into this. It's more the assistance, more the help. So you can use AI to make the quality of your data more accurate, more robust. So, for example, an investigation might be done very quickly, whereas if you have an AI assistant to help the investigator, the level of quality, causation, pre-cases, corrective actions, it can get a lot more in-depth, a lot more wholesome around all the area. And I think that's the first step with AI. Make sure your data's good. And we'll talk a little bit later how you mitigate the risks, because I'm sure there's people on the audience say, what about the risks in AI? But just as the impact, I feel if you get AI to leverage that quality of data, then it opens the door for those try and help me predict risk and those sort of elements. So a lot of clients are very interested in those two topics at the moment. But it is that realization that actually maybe our data isn't as good as we thought. Is enough in there. And obviously, it's not just incidents. You want to know your training records, you want to know your chemical safety details, you want to know inspections and audits, behavioral safety, all those what I class as a safe systems work, even though they're all integrated, they all have their own leading and lagging input to that predictive element. And I feel, well, I know that clients are very interested in that holy grail of, can it help me? Can it help me do something I didn't know was happening? Can it help me identify something I didn't know was there? And I think that is a great thing AI can help people unlock, or at least give visibility.
Yeah, so we're talking about uncovering sort of hidden patterns and trends and analysis within, the deep depth of it, especially when your point about predictability as well, when you're actually joining together overlapping data in areas like environment, health, safety, social, governance, chemical safety, and so on. When the reams of data across, then of course there will be some patterns in there which you couldn't necessarily spot by eye.
Absolutely, no one ever gets the full picture of everything, and or even comprehend.
Yeah, perfect. Brilliant, thanks. Dan, we've had a good question actually that's come up, which is popped into one of the points you made as well. This idea of what challenges do you see in setting effective governance for AI? I wonder if, Dan, you could comment on that. I know that's something that's quite close to your heart.
Yeah, very much so. I'm very excited about AI. If done right, I think it really could change everything about how we work and live. But I'm still trying to figure out whether or not the excitement is happiness or fear, maybe a little bit of both. But definitely the governance is incredibly important, and it really needs to be done with the right balance. If you over-govern, then you really stifle innovation and progress. Striking the right balance is going to be really, really tough because there's a lot to consider. And there's privacy concerns. There's public trust. Can you trust AI? Can you trust the developers? Can you trust the data? Being able to ensure that regulations are non-biased and you're not pushing the development in one direction versus another. And since this is a global topic, having global coordination is really, really, really important around governance. I mean, we kind of already saw that a little bit with the recent Chinese data model, the DeepSeek news that popped up. There's definitely no coordination going on right now or governance globally. It's kind of like we're living in the Wild West right now. People are prioritizing being first instead of being right and doing the right thing. I mean, I can go on and on about this. The beginning of these large language models, and let's not connect it to the internet because we don't know what's going to happen. And now we're connecting it to the internet, and now we're giving it live data. And then you have these data models that are getting sort of scrubbed and purified, and there needs to be governance. What that means, I'm not really quite sure right now because it's such an exciting topic. Like I said, it has the ability to change the way we live and work in such a positive way. We don't want to just kill it, but it definitely we need to have some boundaries and global discussions around these, large developers and kind of giving some rules. I'm excited to see what that looks like, but at this point, I don't have an answer on that one. I just know that we need some. So it's a complex topic for sure.
Yeah, like you said, and that point of global coordination is a tricky one. Of course, it's very difficult to get the world to agree on very much. I think the last time back in 2015, we had a Paris Agreement where 190 plus companies agreed on things, but then we can see that can be changed afterwards as well. So it's a very dynamic world as well, I think. But I do like the point that you've got there about prioritizing being fast or first, if you like, rather than necessarily being right. And Richard, I wonder if we could talk to you there and ask you, what do you see as perhaps some of the risks for businesses feeling under pressure to adopt AI?
Yeah, I mean, this is, I suppose, I think what we discussed earlier, and I think this is probably my main concern is, the technology is great and technology is sort of what it is really, but the difficulty comes in the current economic framework. Businesses are under incredible competitive pressures and pressures to grow, pressures to be first, pressures to be leaders, to be ahead of their rivals. And I think that often decisions are pushed forward perhaps by people who aren't technology experts or who don't, this is new stuff. They want to see that they're first amongst their peers to do it. And I think that there's innate pressure in there to push the application of these technologies probably in a way that could go beyond the understanding of what those technologies are capable of, what their limits are, what their safe uses are. So people will, I think, just in the nature of business, many businesses feel pressurized to apply them when they perhaps haven't been fully tested or fully thought through in certain contexts. And I think context is everything in AI. If you train a model on one data set, doesn't necessarily mean you can use it in a different domain and a slightly different area. But people are always tempted to just sort of push the boundaries. Oh, it's quite a similar situation. It's not that different. Surely it'll probably get it more or less right. I think the other area that I'm concerned with is obviously another area from the business leadership and business ownership is people are looking to see if they can apply AI instead of humans and to reduce headcount. And let's say, people often say from the technology perspective, oh yes, that means just jobs will change and we'll be working with AI instead of, for it or whatever. But I think, especially during the transition, there's real dangers that that particularly the types of jobs that might go are people with more experience. They kind of think, oh, the AI can kind of fill in and we'll just leave the less experienced guy there to do, and the AI will help that guy, and we'll kind of suck the knowledge out of the experienced people and get rid of them and do that. So that's a caricature, of course, but I think those are my main concerns around, replacing people, and particularly the wrong kind of people in business, and also sort of beyond context applications that are outside the envelope of where it should be applied.
Yeah, thanks. And I think particularly that point of businesses feeling they have to rush into this, really, it can perhaps potentially raise the risk of not thinking through the implementation. And whilst that might be fine for a non-safety critical process, if we're talking about safety, sustainability, environmental protection, these are high critical activities, of course, where you absolutely need to have thought through the dangers, the risks, the mitigation for that, and to have that degree of humanity, if you like, or human intervention, human oversight, if you like. And that might be perhaps one of the next questions to ask you, Rob, as well. What do you see as the significance of human oversight for AI, particularly in safety and sustainability?
Yeah, I can't stress Richard's sort of grounding more. So it always needs that human in the loop, let's say. AI in essence is a tool, in various guises, whether it's predicting something for you or automating something for you or giving you, a corrective action it thinks could work. But it's like any tool. If I'm trained to use a drill, I'd be pretty confident I could use that drill every time. But when you're trained to use AI can every now and again hallucinate or get the wrong answer, even though it told you something different yesterday. There are still some elements in that. So whereas if you train someone to use a tool, it's pretty predictable, you'll get good results. AI is not that tool. It is a tool, but every now and again it can slightly get it wrong or hallucinate, depending on which elements of AI you're using. So it still needs that competent person, I believe, that human in the loop, to be that human gate, as it were, to say, I understand what you found or you're telling me or you're proposing, and I think that's acceptable or that's not acceptable. And even to the point of the ethical stance, and we chatted before, that person would be that ethical barometer to say, actually, this isn't right for whatever reason, it's biased or it's just wrong. So, for example, we're talking to clients a lot about having assistance in, as I said before, investigation or risk analysis. Just before someone's going to put the shovel in the ground, they'll do a point of work risk assessment. But what better way than just send it an image and it will classify the area for you and tell you its risks and whatever. But you still need that competent person even in the investigation, to sign that off and say, you know what, AI has really shone the torch on areas I didn't realize were a risk or a hazard, and I'm happy to say that's the correct thing or not the correct thing. So, when I talk to clients all the time, as Richard said, that belief of replacing people is not the case. It should give your experts more time to spend on what humans are good at, which is that, their experience, their leaps of faith, their logical evaluation, whereas the mundane tasks of number crunching and analysing is the AI tool. Never let it loose on its own. That's its risk. That's when you do risk. I was talking to one client only last week, a director in AI, who said he'd seen some systems that were automatically filling in paperwork for people without already realising they're using AI, and that was a red flag to him. That is not possible. You shouldn't do that. Happy for you to do that task, but at the end of the day, a human needs to say, yes, I'm okay with that. Yes, that's it's got quality in it. It is grounded. It's ethical. It's made on the right decisions. We see a lot of it. People straight away when you talk to AI, especially generative AI, because everybody understands it subtly now. Is it trustworthy? Is it, where's it come from? Is my data being shared? Is it secure? They've got all the same issues. Most of them you can resolve, but that one about you still always need the human in the process. You do.
Yeah, perfect.
We're a long way away from it being, you don't have to watch it.
Yeah, indeed, before it runs on its own. And Dan, I think just to pick up the same question with you, actually, what do you see as the significance for that human oversight for AI and safety and sustainability?
I agree, Rob, that definitely needing human interaction, it's very much important. To have that human or emotional touch involved in the analysis. I mean, having AI processing 100% of safety data or events, for example, probably wouldn't be a great idea. There's always some sort of human element to the review process. There's sometimes gut feelings, intangible data, subtext, stuff that humans pick up on that machines won't, or I guess at least not right now, maybe sometime in the future they will, but really AI is a tool. It's to collect data, analyze, crunch numbers, increase our data reach, but humans should definitely still play a part in the validation and approval. Yeah, because otherwise you might get some weird results. And we've all experienced that. You go on ChatGPT, you type in something, and it goes, all right, well, I asked about, making a pie, and this responds back with something completely different. So validation is critical.
Yeah, like you say, it's great. It's fine if it's a non-safety critical or a non-compliance critical piece. Like you say, if you're just using it for some creativity, which can produce, as you said, some amusing results. And I think we've actually had some better jokes than a comedian could write, actually, in some cases when you see what AI can come up with. But like you say, I think in terms of our core question today, will it make us safer or protect the environment? I think everything you're saying there is that we are a long way, if ever, being in a position where you could trust it to do it on its own. It's that level of governance, it's that level of human oversight, isn't it? And your point, I think, is excellent there, Dan, as well, that idea of validation. You've got to have that validation, absolutely, in here. Richard, just wondered whether you had any other thoughts as well, with any additional thoughts on human oversight and how that might play in?
Well, yeah, I mean, I would just come back, because I think it's you're saying all the right things about, yes, human oversight and, only trusted up to a point. But I think what I'm concerned about is that there is an innate human ability to, if something has got something right 9 times in a row, you start to trust it, and you get lazy. We get complacent. And this is the same. It's in a way, it's similar with other technologies. And I know that things like your automatic braking thing on your car doesn't need to be AI, or your signal. You kind of become dependent on certain things, and you get accustomed to them working in certain ways. And I think, my view is I would be very surprised if we don't have some adverse consequences of people over trusting or over expecting or over applying AI. So I think we have to keep our eye out for these adverse things, because I think they inevitably will happen. Let's hope they're not so severe that they cause fatalities or very serious consequences. But I think almost within our safety protocol, we have to think, where is the failure? Where did the AI human interaction with AI fail as a safety feature of the system? Because I'm somewhat concerned, given all the pressures on businesses to be there, and given the natural kind of human fallibility of that one, wanting to just, oh, I don't need to watch it this time because it's got the last batch absolutely perfect. Yeah. So, and I think the other thing is the kind of stress and fear of people being monitored. That's the other thing on the data. AI is so data hungry. And you mentioned earlier people being monitored for their ergonomic positions or whatever, but people are going to probably be suspicious that they're going to be monitored. Are they working hard enough? Are they doing this? Yeah. So I think there's also this danger that humans will be being asked to be more like robots, and the AI will want us to be more like the AI. And those are the kind of things I think we've got to look out for on a sort of ethical standpoint over time.
Yeah, perfect.
Humans was the social credit score or whatever it was called. I forget what the
there was a Black Mirror episode, wasn't there? Yeah,
that's
right. Yeah, I remember it well. It was a good episode, actually. Yeah, more or less turning to our last question, I think, really, which looks to the future. I mean, the AI, you could argue, is the future, but as you look at the future of AI, what do you see coming next? Dan, I wonder if I could ask you your thoughts.
The possibilities are endless. I'm really excited for the possibilities, but then again, that excitement, some of it's fear. But I would say in the workplace, people will certainly be more reliant on AI, large language models, but also other aspects. I was joking with a friend the other day that I really think in the future, CEOs are just simply going to be people that have a better command over AI and being able to query data faster and more efficiently. It's just going to be some guy sitting there on his computer going, okay, I'm going to type this in. Oh, the AI tells me to run my business like this. But truly, that might be the future. Also get excited about things like Neuralink or real-time access to data, just plugged directly into your brain, making us all just superhuman intelligent. That's pretty exciting, but scary as well. Multimodal AI, being able to process text, image, audio, video, whatever, all at the same time, to do a full, almost human-like analysis, but really a superhuman kind of analysis. That's pretty cool. It all seems like science fiction, but when you read a science fiction novel, it's always odd that 20, 30 years later that becomes science fact. So the future will be very interesting for sure. Yeah,
brilliant. Thanks, Dan. And Richard, if I could ask you your thoughts on what you see coming next in AI.
Yeah, I mean, apart from either these sort of dystopian or utopian visions of the future, I would go for something, nearer to the future. Maybe something we could aspire to is the intelligent reception thing that at the moment you're, press 1 for this, press 2 for that, and you can never really get the answer for anything, and they end up telling you to go to the website. And it would be great just to have something that could actually talk back to you and solve your problem really effectively. I mean, I think we're still, even something like that would enable humans to communicate with big corporations, whether it be your electricity bill or your health service or your tax or whatever, and it could really have an intelligent conversation with you. That would be enough for me. Yeah.
Perfect. Oh, we've actually just had another question pop in as well. Actually, I wonder if we might just squeeze this one in, if you bear with us. Almost at time now. Dan, this is one for you. Stephen's asking, to what degree are your clients using AI now to decide which of their sustainability strategies or initiatives they could prioritize? So optimizing their roadmap in a way.
That's all over the place. Some companies have fully adopted it. Others said, nope, we're not going to, from a corporate perspective, we're not going to allow anybody to even use AI in any aspect of our work. And they block, IP addresses. You can't use ChatGPT. You can't go to these and use it during your work. So it's kind of all over the place. The ones that are diving kind of head first in are sort of the smaller mid-market kind of companies that have maybe a little bit smaller risk departments.
Yeah.
And from their point of view, efficiency is king. So anything that helps them save money, do things faster, et cetera, is super beneficial. So, I mean, I was mentioning this earlier, but using AI to analyze safety, make sure that their people aren't getting hurt, integrating that into their systems. I've been seeing that as well. Some safety platforms offer that as well within the market. Obviously, implementing it costs quite a bit of money because you got to buy all the cameras and the computers, and then you got to train the models based upon your manufacturing or whatever kind of plant or industry you're in. To really analyzing data. People are trying to make sure that they can get the amount of work done in a day that they need to get done. Generally, folks are having more responsibilities, so anything that helps them do it faster, better, stronger, they'll definitely adopt it. So it's all over the place. It's really strange right now because you'll talk to one client in industry A, and you'll go talk to another client in the same industry, and they're doing things completely different. One says, oh yeah, we're totally using AI. I'm using it to write reports. I'm using it to analyze data. We're implementing this system to automate and make things safer. And the other one goes, nope, can't use it. Corporate says no. So it's all over the place.
That's your point about coordination. I think, well, sadly, that's actually all that we've got time for today. But we do, of course, have the forum, which will stay open 24/7, which would be the link that you can find if you get a chance to join the Situation Room. Go onto there, ask any questions there, and we will keep the discussion going. And that's the whole point of really what we're doing here, is to keep the discussion going, get this out in the open, and as this starts to evolve, really to start to learn from each other as well. That's what we're hoping to do from the Situation Room. But bringing a few thoughts together, I think, to our key question today, which was, will AI make us safer or protect the environment? I think that we could see improvements in safety and environmental protection where you see patterns in complex data, what Rob was talking about, things that might otherwise have been missed, really. If you see this as an assistant, perhaps AI assisting us to do our thinking, but not a prime authority, still having that ability to have validation and perhaps giving experts more time to focus on the true human value add that it could. But some key points, really, of course, we need that competent person in the loop. We need to balance the governance that we're applying to it. We need to build trust, as we were saying as well, not trust that it's going to be right every time, to still check it every time, but then to make sure, of course, that this is all still serving us, if you like, rather than us becoming subservient to AI, in some cases perhaps in the mistaken rush to be first rather than to be right. So thanks for joining us today. I hope that was useful and helpful to you. As I say, please join the Situation Room and have the discussions if you want to keep the subject going, and join us for the rest of our topics through the year. Our next one coming up next month will be is health and safety modern enough for a modern world? So a new one will be breaking into in a few weeks' time, but please do join us in the Situation Room, and thanks again to Rob, to Dan, and to Richard for their insights today. Thank you to the panel, and take care. Have a good rest of the day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.